Okay, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah. I'm the Executive Director of United Appliance Servicers Association, and today we have Stan Konevsky, who is the President and CEO of Airsled, discussing Airsled and what it can do for your business. It's all yours, Stan.
Okay, Sarah, I just turned my microphone back on, so I just want to confirm that you can hear my voice.
You're good.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. So as Sarah mentioned, my name is Stan Konevsky. I'm the Airsled President and CEO, and I'm very happy to have been invited to give a presentation about our company and our products for the members of this group. Let me go ahead and start the presentation. And by the way, if folks have questions, and Sarah, I'm not sure exactly how you want to monitor this, but people are welcome to ask me questions as I get through any of the material. So the intent of our webinar today is to introduce members to Airsled and its products, highlight some common problems and challenges that appliance repair professionals face and how Airsled can help solve those problems. We'll spend a little bit of time presenting the actual products and explain to the folks on this call how those products can be used and demonstrate their performance through a series of videos that everybody will have access to because those videos are on our website. And finally, we'll just open it up to a Q&A. So the first slide here is a brief overview about Airsled. Airsled is not new. Perhaps folks on this call have either heard of us before or may own a product from Airsled or know somebody who does, but we've been around since 1982, based out of Wilmington, Delaware. And we were the first to develop and introduce an appliance mover that's based on our low pressure air film technology. What is low pressure air film technology? Well, I'm glad somebody asked. Think of a hovercraft. So here is an image of a hovercraft. Hopefully this is something that folks have seen before, have some awareness of. Our products are constructed similarly to a hovercraft. There is a blower, like a fan here that you see on a hovercraft. There is a skirt, if you will, that covers the bottom of our air beam, just like is covered here on an on a hovercraft. That skirt, when it inflates by the air that is generated by this fan, inflates, creating an air cushion. And as that air cushion expands, there is also an escape of air that's happening through the bottom, which allows a hovercraft to go effortlessly over countless surfaces. And that's what an Airsled does. It lets you go over various surfaces, especially the non-porous ones, over a very thin micro cushion of air, creating a very frictionless contact point. Airsled has 3 product lines: our appliance movers, our bending movers, and our 3-in-1 movers. And our products, depending on which model you buy, are rated to lift anywhere from 700 pounds up to 2,300 pounds. We also make custom products that have lifted loads and objects that have exceeded 25,000 pounds. So when you see our standard products, while we're happy with their performance, the same principles that we use to power those standard products are used to power our more customized solutions. All products are made in the USA, and we only use materials that are sourced in the United States. And if you're ever interested in buying one of our products, we sell them directly to consumers and end users through Amazon, as well as our website, airsled.com. I'm now going to move on to a slide that takes a slightly closer look at the actual Airsled product. So at its core, the product really strives to do these things: help a person move a load faster, safer, easier, and in certain cases, cheaper and more cost effectively. Our appliance mover, which is right here, you'll see in the top corner there, is pretty lightweight. It's about 31 pounds. It comes in a carrying case or a satchel, and it becomes very, very portable because it's so small and lightweight. And the only thing that you need to power it up is access to standard household electricity. We do like to emphasize that the flooring conditions where our products get used really should be non-porous, meaning hardwood, ceramic tile, marble, porcelain, plywood. But if you do need to travel over things such as carpet or rough gravel or a really dirty floor that's in poor shape, you could use a number of things. We include rough surface adapters, little plastic strips, but you could also use various other products like a tarp or a ram board, floor protective type of heavy paper, and we'll show you some of that in the videos. Our appliance mover models are rated for 700 pounds or 900 pounds. So the standard model is a 700-pound model. The heavy-duty one is for 900 pounds. And you can option each model to have either a vacuum feature or have it be without a vacuum feature. Folks like the vacuum feature because it allows them to not have to bring a shop vac or a small vacuum cleaner to a job site if they need to do a quick little cleanup once their project is over. In terms of components, you can see pretty clearly here, it's pretty basic. You have a single air blower, the orange object right there. You have 2 air beams, these aluminum rectangles here that are covered with the black industrial perforated rubber fabric. And then you have the necessary hoses and connectors. We also include out of the box a foot brace. So you'll see sometimes if you need to get better leverage, you could lay that foot brace along the back of the air beams so you could press down with your foot and help offset any tilting that may happen depending on the type of appliance you're lifting and its load, its weight distribution. And we also include a few other items that you'll see in the videos, such as the rough surface adapters. We like to say that also out of the box, our standard model, the AM2200, can move over 95% of the major appliances sold in the USA, meaning that over 95% of the major appliances are under 700 pounds and are a size that is ideal for our standard product. But we also offer various accessories which can expand the functionality and range of our product to cover over 99% of the appliance domain. And some of our accessories include these spacer systems. So if you have an appliance, especially a commercial appliance that sits on legs that elevates it 4 to 7 inches off the floor, these spacer systems adjust to allow you to do that. We also have a feature here, an accessory called the Sub-Zero adapter. Sub-Zero refrigerators and other, especially large high-end refrigerators, may not have the true structural contact points that run all the way across the base and the bottom of the frame. And this adapter helps you catch the structural contact points in order to make moving it safe. We also will show you that we have this mono air beam. So sometimes you're dealing with a project where you have a very small appliance like a beverage fridge or a dishwasher. And while I'm sure people are capable to move them easier than perhaps something heavier, you still run the risk of damaging the object, the floor. So we do offer a single air beam accessory. And then finally, I'm showing here our standard air beams are 36 inches long, but some of the more modern oversized refrigerators that are deeper than say 30, 31 inches, we feel that a 39-inch long air beam becomes a little bit more suitable for those instances as well. So this just gives you a brief summary of the types of accessories we offer. So what I think is really important to folks on the call is to understand what is our value proposition. You know, what do we help solve, and who benefits from that solution. So folks who are actually doing the work day in, day out, having to go to the job sites, enter a home or a commercial environment, here are the benefits for you. The first one is no matter how hard you try, it's very possible that you're gonna run the risk of damaging the floor or the property or the appliance itself. So you'll see in the videos that the actual product really kind of helps offer you a solution that's different than other products. Also, bodily injury. How many times have you pulled a muscle, scraped yourself because you're dealing with tight spaces, or just incurred something that if you only had the right tool, you could have avoided it to begin with? Sometimes you go to a job site and you realize that, wait a second, I wish I had 2 or 3 additional folks to help me do this. Airsled kind of helps provide that extra manpower, that horsepower of moving heavier objects, and reduces your need to rely on perhaps a second or third set of hands. And difficulty working in tight spaces. I'll show you in the video what it's like to move around a tight installation space where there's a kitchen island, there's cabinetry, there's a wall, things that are pretty common that I'm sure folks on this call experience. Let me pause here in case there are any questions about any of the material that I've covered so far, either from the prior slides about the product and some of its accessories, or in some of the overview here for the problems that we help solve.
So one of the questions is oversizing an issue, as well as what kind of scenarios will it not work for when you say it'll move 95% of appliances? What's the 5%? And will it move a stacked washer and dryer set?
Okay, great. And by the way, I'm seeing or I'm hearing that there are some questions in the chat box. I unfortunately can't see the chat box, so I apologize for not addressing them. So let me try to take you through a couple of the scenarios. So the standard air beam is 36 inches long, and we like to tell folks that the appliance should be within that 30-inch depth without the handle, meaning that we recommend having 3 inches of air beam able to stick out past the appliance and in front of the appliance. So if you look right here, you'll see an inlet. That is the rear of the air beam. That's 3 inches right there. So theoretically, you can fit an appliance that is 33 inches long. However, you won't be able to truly center it on the air beam itself. When objects are centered to the air beam, that's when our products perform the best. It doesn't mean that it won't perform well. It just means you're going to have to use a little bit of finesse to help offset any tilting if that object is not perfectly centered to the air beam. So the answer to the question, what are some of the, that 1% that doesn't fit in here? You may have a commercial appliance or something that has a very, very deep footprint that is over, let's say, 36, 37, 38 inches in depth. When you start getting to something that deep, the standard air beams will certainly not work because you're not going to be able to get them fully underneath the load or the appliance. And then the 39-inch long air beams will also, perhaps not be able to get fully under the load. Now, can a person still try to make it work? Sure, but it's not something that Airsled would recommend, and that's why we'll explain to the folks on this call that those extreme, those unusually deep appliances are the ones that may not be the ideal type of appliance for our products. So let me pause there in case, hopefully I was able to cover that question, but if there's any follow-up, let me pause for that.
Nothing so far.
Okay. Then the other question was about stackable washers and dryers. So the answer is a resounding yes. That is, in fact, an application that we know is encountered very frequently and resolved with an Airsled. Now, we do want to caution people that the smaller the footprint of the load and the higher its center of gravity, then what you're going to need to do is just exercise caution and make sure that you are doing this in a controlled manner, that you have your hands on the object, on the load. But the short answer is yes, we can easily move a stacked, whether it's commercial or residential style of laundry room equipment. That's not a problem for an Airsled. Also, as folks know, that those objects tend to be in very, very tight spaces. So again, that's where Airsleds excel.
I have two more questions. Can you use a 39-inch one on a 30-inch range? And are there any residential appliances that are too heavy for it to move?
Okay, and there's actually another question that I was going to get to about flooring. So yes, in fact, again, I almost feel like these questions are setups for the answer, but we know that ranges, especially in high-end kitchens that sit on legs, that are on wood floors, but really in any scenario, can be a real bear to move. And if you Google or YouTube us, you'll actually see somebody posted a video of our products using our products to move one of those large elevated ranges. So yes, a 39-inch air beam can easily move the 30-inch range. However, if that 39-inch air beam doesn't extend past the back of the range, what may happen is that it will tilt a little bit as it gets lifted. So you're just going to have to apply some downward pressure on the opposite end to help offset the tilt. It's not risky, it's not dangerous, it's just that's how the systems perform when the load isn't perfectly balanced square right in the center. So the next question, Sarah, was about residential appliances. So there's no residential appliance that we have that has been brought to our attention, sold in the United States, that is not compatible with our systems. Okay, so we can, with certainty answer that question that yes, we can move every single residential equipment that is manufactured and sold in the United States. The third point that somebody brought up is about flooring is, so Airsled, like I said before, hard surfaces, non-porous surfaces like wood, cement, epoxy-coated cement, tile, marble, travertine, all that kind of stuff is perfect for us. If you are dealing with having to go over carpet, if you need to go over a threshold where there's a slight elevation change, you can use our plastic rough surface adapters or a piece of cardboard. So hopefully that kind of helps people understand that while our product can solve a lot of problems, sometimes you're just going to need to, kind of adjust the conditions of the floor in order for us to really be the right tool in that application. Any other questions before I kind of wrap this up with this final point here about the appliance repair company benefits?
Yeah, do you know of any instances when there's been a damaged appliance when it's inflated?
No. So the air beam itself, when it is unloaded, meaning when there's nothing sits on top of it and you inflate it, will expand about 1.5 inches or so. But when it is under a load and it gets compressed, then you're looking at perhaps 1 inch to 1/4 inch of elevation. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is that if you have something that is really squeezed in tightly between cabinets or overhangs, then you need to be cautious about how you activate the Airsled because you don't want the appliance to be pushed up. That is really the only type of scenario where there is a potential for some type of damage. And there's ways to work around that we can talk about. But to answer your question, no. I think there was a question about the ASTI trade show as well. Is that, am I
Yes, they asked why you haven't been there before.
Well, yeah, so that's a very smart question. So I'm relatively new to Airsled. I've been here for just over 1.5 years, but I came to know Airsled many, many years ago as I was doing some MBA coursework, and I was connected with Airsled through some of those, through that curriculum. And 20 years ago, I fell in love with technology. I fell in love with the concept, but I think management wasn't as committed. The ownership wasn't as committed to Airsled and really helping this small company expand its brand awareness, its product awareness. So for the past 20 years or so, it's been a very sleepy business, sleepy company and organization. I'm here to change that. I left a corporate position to take this entrepreneurial risk. And I'm working with Sarah as we speak to figure out the best way for Airsled to participate in the ASTI show and to partner with all the various members of ASTI, whether they're the folks that are doing the work as a repair professional, whether they are administering training programs in schools, whatever role people have in this appliance world, Airsled is now looking to partner with them in a way that wasn't done before. So that was hopefully a slightly long answer to a very short question.
It was perfect.
So the last point here on this slide is that there's also benefits to the company that is endorsing or encouraging their resources, their employees to use this tool. There's certainly insurance claims, whether it's for property damage or workers' comp when somebody gets injured. Those are real world things that we know happen, plus the added hassle of the paperwork for the administration, the management of the company. And there's a little blurb there about what some of the average costs are that are associated with damage to especially floors. Folks will miss work days if they can't get healthy quickly. They can't get back out on the road or to a job site, or quite honestly, Airsled, if you are on a weight restriction, you now have the ability to use this tool to help you move a weight that wouldn't be possible because of your restriction as you're trying to get back into good health. And finally, there's property damage. I know if I'm not happy, I'm going to try to leave some type of review, a Yelp, a Google rating, something that lets people know my experience so they can understand what questions to ask and what to watch out for. So those are very, like I said, real world examples. And this next slide really tries to add a little bit of a flavor and color to the previous slide. You'll see there scratches to flooring, pulling refrigerators and ranges in and out. Linoleum, vinyl gets ripped, backaches, scraped knuckles, tight spaces in a kitchen. Sometimes a person trying to do a job with one person when in fact having two people or the right tool is the smarter way to go. You know, I don't know how you guys have moved heavier refrigerators in the past. This guy's trying to add planks. I'm not even sure why they're trying to do this because those planks look a little bit thick. And then, of course, there's ways to leave reviews. You can see some starred ratings of these three guys. Who are you going to call? Somebody with a 4.2, 4.6, or the 2.7. So again, this is just to help add some color and clarity to things that I think that, you know, people know already from the work that they do in the appliance space. So with that, it gets us to really the exciting part, the star of the show, which is our product. And there's 4 videos that we're going to show you. The first one is moving a large refrigerator in a cramped kitchen, then moving a very typical washing machine in a laundry room, moving a beverage fridge / cabinet that sits on carpet. And then we'll also do a brief snippet of the mono air beam used for a beverage fridge. And then we'll just open it up to more Q&A based on anything that these videos have triggered. Okay, so all of these videos are available on our website, airsled.com, and also on YouTube. So as you guys can see, big refrigerator, small tight space, kitchen island, cabinetry, hard surfaces. How would you do it without an air sled? I'm sure you can have a solution, but we think that Airsled should be a tool in your arsenal for you to at least have the option of using in a tight space. Here you can see this is our vacuum feature. How many times have you pulled out an appliance and you've seen a really ugly, messy filter or something that, you know, if you cleaned up on the spot, makes you look like the hero? So again, I think the video speaks for itself. It's a hard thing to do to move a big refrigerator, but as you saw, a single person did it with an air sled without really much of a problem. Sarah, I'll pause here before I move on to the next video, if there's any questions or comments.
Okay. Will the lint plug up the little holes in the air sled?
No, and there's an actual video that shows the air sled with the vacuum feature. So the vacuum version models are slightly larger because they have a bag with a filter. So once you do the cleanup or after a series of cleanups, you can empty the bag and continue going about your business without any problem, just like you'd be using a regular vacuum canister vacuum cleaner that has a filter and a bag.
Those were the only questions on the chat.
Okay, so let me show you. And, I'm sorry, I may have also ignored the other part of the question about the perforations. So with an air sled, air is constantly being forced out of the perforations. So it is incredibly, incredibly difficult to block them, impede them, or do something that impacts the performance of your air sled. In fact, we do refurbish air sleds, and that has never been an issue that somebody has brought to our attention or has needed a refurbishment performed for. So, unfortunately, we have air sleds that are out there 15, 20, 25 years old that are still working. We would, of course, love to refurbish them, but people, they're built to last.
What's the weight difference, Stan, between the plane and then when you add the vacuum feature?
Yeah, that's another good question. It's about a pound, surprisingly, a pound and a half. Um, uh, I think, yeah, no, you know what? A pound and a half is probably the closer metric there. So nobody is going to have a hard time if they can lift, that 30, 31 pounds, then adding that extra pound and a half should be okay. So Sarah, let me move on to the next video. So this is just a typical laundry room. There's a washing machine. There's a dryer right next to it. And let's fire up the video. So this video shows a little bit in more detail how the air sled is engaged. So you see it being slid under the machine right here. And again, we do encourage you to center the product, but we know that you're gonna, in many cases, run up against the wall. So you'll see what happens when that happens in those cases. There's a very, very, very slight tilt here because the machine is more back heavy. But even with that slight tilt, the only thing that's sliding and making contact with the floor is the perforated rubber bottom. So there's really no issue or risk or damage possibility to the floor itself. So let me go ahead and pause for anything that may have come up by watching that video.
I don't see any questions, but I do see that they're definitely going to want to see it at ASTI in action.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to the opportunity, and we know that this is something that we hope people really feel is a great product for them, and we can certainly take follow-up phone calls, conversations. We encourage people to contact us after this presentation if they have any other questions or just want to start the conversation with the Airsled. This next video is a little bit lengthy. It's about 3 minutes, but it covers a lot of really interesting components and dimensions to the product and to how it can be used. So let me go ahead and play this, and I'll give a little bit of a voiceover here. So this is a pretty ornate, heavy piece of furniture that has a concealed beverage refrigerator inside of it. These are those plastic rough surface adapters that come with each of our systems. You can see taping them together can sometimes let you keep them in a little bit more of a stable configuration, especially as you're going over carpets. So you see the air beams get placed directly onto the plastic RSAs, the rough surface adapters. Here's a nice close-up of the adjustable spacer system. it was set in order to accommodate the elevation of this heavy elevated piece of furniture slash appliance. And remember I said that if you can't get something perfectly centered, if you can't get an air beam perfectly centered or air beams perfectly centered under the appliance, it may tilt. In this case, because it has a very heavy stone top that's right next to the wall, the individual put a blanket or a towel just to give it a little bit of a bumper. So if it did tilt or when it did tilt, and if it did make contact with the wall, it was protected. There's a nice close-up of what I mean by an object tilting. Again, you're still making contact with the floor in the air sled, so you're not risking damage to the floor. But you should consider a slight adjustment of the air beam once you pull out the appliance or the object a little bit from its initial location.
Stan,
Yeah.
I have another person asking the weight capacity and potential costs, different costs.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So let me just get through this video and then I'll take a quick detour. So that foot brace was shown to be used as something for leverage. So when an object does tilt, you can help offset that tilt, because sometimes trying to apply pressure on one air beam isn't as effective as doing both air beams. But if they're spread apart, that foot brace really helps you straddle both air beams in order to apply the pressure. And then, by the way, I know that, oops, sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. The other thing that just happened very quickly while I was talking, I just want to highlight this because this is a really important aspect to Airsled. We were able to address the long distance. So if you need to move something over a very long distance, that RAM board paper that comes in rolls that you can buy at a big box store is very handy. And I just wanted to get that point across because we know that sometimes you need to go pretty far from point A to point B, whether it's carpet or anything else. You have options beyond the plastic rough surface adapters for creating that non-porous surface. Now, Sarah, to answer that question, our standard model covers 700 pounds. So if you need to lift something up to 700 pounds, our standard model will work. That standard model costs about $670. If you want to step into the heavy duty model, which gives you a lift capacity up to 900 pounds, that's an additional $100. So that takes you from $670 to about $770. So that's the cost difference there. Now, if you're looking to have the vacuum feature, so that 670 standard model with the vacuum feature, that's going to be another $30. And it's the same case for the heavy duty model. It goes from $770 to about $800 when you add the vacuum feature.
Can it lift wolf ranges that are several inches off the floor?
It can. The thing though that you may have to just handle in the field is our adjustable spacer systems are for items that are elevated from 4 to 7 inches off the ground. If that wolf range is under 4 inches, then you may have to use those, and I'll try to, there's a video that shows that. Let me, so this is more here. If folks can just hang with me for a moment, I'll try to answer that question a little bit differently because I can use video for it, because this is so imagine that this is a wolf range where the elevation is a little bit less than 4 inches. Our adjustable spacer systems may not work because we're already set up for something that's at least 4 inches in height. In that case, you have several options. The first option is to stack them. So you'll see that in this video, you lay them sideways and you stack them, and you build them up until you get to the proper height. So I'll just let this run a little bit longer so you can see. And these spacer sticks, that's part of our vending line of products, and you can purchase those as well. But between the adjustable spacer systems and these spacer sticks, you now have a bridge that gets you to the required height, at least for this vending machine. However, you can just as easily use a 2x4 or pieces of wood, plywood. We're not telling you that you have to buy our accessories. You can improvise and come up with your own creative solutions because they're out there and people do that routinely. So let me pause this video and get back to the presentation. Any other questions, Sarah?
I don't see any. I don't see any right now.
Okay, now the last video, again, purely in the interest of helping explain some of the features here, and as well as the accessories. So here we have a small, fully loaded beverage fridge. It's completely loaded with drinks. So our mono air beam is 12 inches wide by 30 inches long. So it is really tailored for those small appliances that especially fit in those particularly tight spaces. And you'll see what we mean when we say that, because people normally don't have a beverage fridge in the middle of a wood floor. They're usually installed in very tight cabinet spaces like this. Each Airsled has this airflow controller to allow you to adjust the airflow. That can help you control just how high the object gets lifted, because we know that if it's really cramped, it's possible that it's going to get wedged in place by the lifting action of your Airsled. But that airflow controller helps you with some of that finessing and fine-tuning when you're out in the field. So here, and again, let me just, you see how that the operator's foot is being used to apply gentle pressure. On one air beam, you only need 1 foot. But when you have 2 air beams that are spread further apart, sometimes you just need that foot brace to give you that bridge in order so you're not trying to do some weird shimmy to get your 1 foot across 2 air beams. So folks, so that takes us to the end of not only the slides, but the videos. Now, on our website, and I'm happy to go over anything that people want to see further, but on our website, we have a number of videos showing our standard products, moving appliances, and vending equipment, including how we go over common flooring gaps. So if perhaps the part of the job that you have is working in more of a warehouse environment where you're shuttling things around, we can easily go over environments, floors like that. But if anybody wants to see any other videos, please let me know, and I'm happy to take you through them. So Sarah, I'll turn it back to you if you see anything in the chat or anything just that's on your end in terms of questions or comments.
Okay.
Well, look, so I think now that I've had a chance to share this with you, hopefully people feel like this is a very useful tool. We are happy to offer some promotional pricing to members of this association. We are happy to offer a 10% discount on your full order. We just need to know that you are a member of this association. So that's something that I'm going to work with Sarah on to make sure we understand how to capture that information to give you the discount. So I guess stay tuned for that. While people may be excited to buy something, right this moment, we're happy if you are, but we just now need to set up a little bit on our end to make sure that we can give you the promotional code for you to use, because these products can be bought directly from our website, and that's the best way in order to buy them and get your discount.
So once we get that set up, Phil, I see you asking the question. We will send out an email with that discount code that Stan's talking about to everyone that attended the webinar today, and give you guys the first opportunity before we expand it to the rest of the membership.
Yeah, and Sarah, I will contact you probably within, 15, 20 minutes, and then you can do an email blast or a communication to the folks on this call to give them the first dibs at the discount and at the products.
Thank you very much for that. If nobody has any other questions, did you have anything else, Stan?
No, I just wanted to see, even though I didn't get a chance to hear anybody or see anybody, this has been a great experience. The questions were terrific. We like to understand, feedback, get feedback, ideas about improving our products, interesting or new or variations of how our products get used. So please, we're a small company and we really value that, direct customer engagement.
Well, thank you very much. And there's several members saying thank you. So
Terrific.
we appreciate that. And we appreciate all of you for joining us today. And we will be in touch soon.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.